going to be very careful not to spread my germs, I promise.
Triathletes really only go about 6 to 8 feet, so you're pretty.
No, I mean, I've got my cough drops right here in the drawer, so I will not be sneezing. I'm not sneezing, it's just the coughing.
This is going to mess with me. Okay, let's do some roll call. I'll start. I'm Kate Senecal, the Vice Chair of OSAC.
Frank Parker. Ryan Eccles.
Sean Samuelson, member.
Sandy Hammerly, Trustee Liaison.
Tracy Collar, member.
Allison James, Staff Liaison.
Okay, that's everybody. And Joel is expected, but running a little tardy. And do we have anybody, do we have any changes to the agenda that anybody would like to make?
Nope.
Great. Just making sure
Tracy.
Tracy's set up. Do you have any changes to the agenda, Tracy?
I don't.
Okay, great. Are we ready for public comment? Does Kai have something she would like to share with us?
I'm going to go with no, unless you want to hear about whatever movie she
Okay, perfect. And we have no public comments, so moving right along. So the first thing, you good? Mm-hmm. Okay. The first thing we are on our agenda tonight is a discussion of the trails ranking plan. So this actually stems from the leadership meeting that Ryan and I had late last month with ProStack. This is two of the...
We have a car alarm outside. Would that be anyone?
No. Oh my God, is it mine? I hope not.
I don't know. Stay tuned. That's awesome.
Oh, it's gone.
I think it's on.
Yep.
I hope whoever watches that part of the meeting tonight thoroughly.
Oh, it could have been. I think it was me. But you all did get up, so it's possible it wasn't.
I haven't gotten my keys yet, so definitely. So basically, this is one of the two items on our agenda tonight that stemmed from our meeting with ProStack. So I am going to caveat all of this is that we're shooting to have 30 minutes for this item, so that if we are getting close to running long, we may take this offline to make the final product if we are getting to that point. So basically what we decided, it was myself and Ryan and Todd and Ron from ProStack, and we talked about just the trails that are on our lists for ranking and that have been on our lists. And basically we started with deciding that we would like to be able to create a top 20 list for us to rank. Now there is a little bit of a caveat to that, which I'll get to in a second, but the reason for the top 20 was just that that's what felt feasible, as there's a number of them that we felt like we could also fairly easily take off for different reasons, which should have been included in the second tab, which is what this tab is. So it talks about how some of the items may be able to fairly easily be checked off or taken off of the list because it's something that is, I'm trying to come up with an example. Things that just are out of the scope of what we felt would be easy enough to do. So like, here's the one I just saw. The cost of the ADA is just the Colton and Rock Creek Circle to Community Park. So that was kind of what those notes meant. It didn't necessarily mean that we've checked them off of it permanently. It just means that those are ones that we identified in that meeting as being maybe those should be priorities of taking them off the list. So then after looking at them a little bit further, Ryan was wondering if we only need to have a top 15 for the town. And part of that is stemming from, do we actually want to separate them town trails versus county trails and have a county trail list and a town trail list? And there's some pieces to that. So basically the first step in this process would be to kind of look at our list and identify which trails stand out to us as needing to come off for reasons that we already are aware of, like major cost, therefore it probably shouldn't be on the list because we don't have money for this until at the earliest 2021. I almost said 2011. So that was kind of how we went about it. So are there any from your either pre-work or scanning through this now, and I'm happy to scroll, or if you would like to drive with the mouse, you're welcome to do so. Are there any that you recognize now that you would suggest that we take off immediately prior to even prioritizing the top, let's say 15?
So I like the idea of having a town versus a county.
Okay.
I think that's the first place we should start.
Okay.
I think we should divide into two separate categories. For instance, many people would take number 17 off because of money and wildlife, as previously discussed. But, you know, number 17, I think, is actually one of those trails that I was looking at, which is along the ditch near our new trailhead that I had discussed with Open Space and Mountain Parks in Boulder about the situation with that. They again said that it was in fact at one point wildlife related, and that there were many hurdles to overcome because it was not just Open Space and Mountain Parks, but also the City of Boulder and Boulder County that would have to get approval to put a trail along that ditch there. But that the wildlife circumstances may have changed. So they were not recommending that we, you know, they appreciated the fact that we reached out to them and that it had been an impediment in the past,
Yeah.
but not to necessarily dismiss it,
Okay.
but you need to keep it on.
Okay.
So I think, yeah, I think I'd like to see a division of town versus things that would incorporate county. And maybe so we'd have two different tabs for those kind of rankings. Obviously, county is anything west of McCaslin, but I think where it comes more into play with ProStack is the town trails, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we can get a common set of the trails that are town that we would share with ProStack, that's one thing.
Okay.
I don't know if they would have as much, I don't know if they would care as much about anything west of McCaslin, but I might as well separate. I think,
Okay.
my opinion is we should separate.
Okay, and it sounds like Tracy agreed.
I have a question about that.
Sure.
If something is money related and the county, wouldn't Boulder County have to pay for that then, and not the town?
Kind of, right?
It depends.
Yeah, it depends. It always
If
depends.
it's like joint, sometimes it's jointly owned open space property where
Oh.
everybody's kind of pitched in
Okay.
to make a purchase. And then at times they'll pitch in with us, or if they feel, you know, that some of our recommendations, they have a certain amount of money that they can sometimes during a year, all the different towns and cities within Boulder County send an annual request, which we just completed this year, but unfortunately, you know, are new. And then we tell them which open space parcels that our committee thinks should be purchased. Also, ProStack weighs in with us. And then what trails should be built that could be on joint property or just Boulder County property, like if the surface needs to be repaired or something on a trail that connects into the town. And then it's just different from what are our interior properties, you know, it's these jointly owned open space properties.
Okay. Well, that would be another reason why the separation into two lists would make sense then, because there may be different funds available for that.
Yeah.
So, based on our current list, there are 16, and 3 of those are county. And that's, the mouse goes the opposite direction of mine. This one, the surface and safety of Colton Trail, and connect Davidson Mesa underpass to Mayhawker, and then the 26th Street north of Sagamore Trail.
So that'd be which numbers?
So 3A and 3B, and the other one doesn't have a number.
Okay, Because there is no 3A and 3B on the map, just saying.
There's a 3,
There's a 3.
sort of in that general direction.
Yeah.
It might be off, is it off?
Well, the reason that that map is not, these were trails that were added after the process had been completed last
So
year.
this map wasn't,
Oh, this map isn't complete then, it's not.
yeah, this is from, yeah.
This list was from last year after
Oh, and then,
it had been submitted.
those maps are on the other tab. You need to, yeah.
Yeah.
I got you. If you look in the other tab in the spreadsheet.
If you, that
you
map
should
is up,
see- Yeah.
go to that.
3A,
Yep,
3B
there you go.
there. Yep.
And then the other map is on the other tab,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, yeah, if you go to the third tab in your spreadsheet, they're there.
Okay, so if we have those 3 as county, then the rest, the other, what did I say, 13? There's 16 total, 3 of them are county, so that means we'd be ranking 13 of them.
Okay.
And are there any others that we would absolutely say?
Well, I mean, just looking at the map, it'd be like 3, 9, 17, 18, 19. If we're remove, I don't know, have we already moved 18 and 19?
Hold on, you're going really fast. 3, 9, what else?
I'm just looking at the map.
18
3,
and 19
9,
then.
17, 18, 19. Those are all west of McCaslin.
17, 18, and 19 are down below.
Yeah.
So 3, the connection from Davidson Mesa, that one should get removed if it was completed. As should 7.
Okay, so 3A and 3B would replace 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when it says
And
under
9?
status, if it says like developer, what does that mean?
That
For
would,
example, road 2, yeah, there you
that would mean that the trail is going to be on a parcel that's being developed by a developer. And a lot of times the agreement is that the developer would pay for the trail on the property that's with that developer.
go. Got it.
It's also kind of on their timetable too, though.
Exactly.
Who helps design sort of the track, or it's their land they get to decide?
Somewhat collaborative
Yeah.
in theory.
They more or less do it and then we can comment on it.
And typically they want to connect to existing networks, so it makes their development like better as far as transportation and ease of transportation.
So the ones that have developer on them, if I'm understanding right, those are going to probably happen. It's just a matter of when the development happens. So why do we rank those if they're already going to happen? Like, what does our rank do? Does it change anything with those?
There's a lot of place saving with our committee that we don't want to forget, like the group doesn't want to forget that they've talked about a trail and until it's finished, they like to have that information on this list so it's not forgotten.
That makes
Just in
good
case.
sense. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and sometimes after we see the development plan, we talk about what we'd like to see or connection to other things.
Yeah.
And if it's way up on our list, we can kind of bring it up and say, you know, this was our most important connection and we don't feel it's met or something like that. So, I mean, I think there's some good information to be had by go ahead and ranking them, even though they will happen and they're just conceptual at this point.
Thank you.
So it sounds like developer, we're going to keep on. Anything that's labeled as status is develop, keep on.
Makes sense to me.
What does communicate to ProStack represent? I mean,
Are those ones that are, yeah.
Are these ones that, Sean, that you had added last summer after we finished them?
Which ones?
The ones that are, I don't know what happened.
1F and
Okay.
1G.
Okay. The 1F and 1G, yeah, communicates ProStack.
Track
Track
A, String Wiggins, I don't know, FG. So F looks like, no, F and G are not. F is the one that connects downtown to Rock Creek that we got a lot of pushback on. And 1G is a little farther down by the Anderson property. Those are not ones that I requested be added. They are ones that were requested to be removed by
Okay.
people in that neighborhood.
Okay.
right, but what does communicate to ProStack mean? I mean,
I don't remember.
Don't know that I know the answer to that.
I think that just meant that ProStack might need to be aware that they were on our, I don't know why I had that as a status.
It was 1F and 1G.
Yeah.
Maybe it was something that our group came up with that maybe wasn't yet on ProStack's list, because sometimes it's a mutual list.
That might be.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know the answer to that.
No, it's fine.
Sorry. So these two would come off but be put onto, so 3A and 3B would be put onto the county.
Nobody wanted it
Where we keep the developer.
here because
Coyote Ridge Trail Maintenance and Improvements. I say that one definitely should be kept, considering the pending.
Which one, number 8?
Yeah, number 8, considering what pending CenturyLink, all of that goes.
Yep. And would that be a county thing though?
No.
Well, and because it's bordering CenturyLink, I mean.
But Coyote Ridge,
It's
the
just-
southern part's owned by the city of
Yeah.
Superior.
Right.
Okay.
And Pirate Park, and the connection to that, that's all town land.
Coyote Ridge connection to Pirate Park.
So
What's 18A?
if that's on the 2016 expedited trails list, what is the status of that, Allison?
the Coyote Ridge.
Connection to Pirate Park 8A? I don't remember that at all.
Well, you know, at one point, there was supposed to be a slide there, and there was a lot of
talk about park.
feedback.
Yep.
and it,
Snakes. We couldn't do it because of snakes.
And the other thing was,
Wicked
is
rattlers over there.
money wasn't allocated for the expedited trails after a certain point.
Right.
After the few trails that were
Mhm.
completed, so.
So do you know why that is still in category C, in column C, the 2016 expedited trails? Like, it doesn't seem like,
That was, I think,
Sorry.
that was just, you know, part of that 2016 expedited trails list, and somebody left it in to maybe denote that that was one of the recommended top trails in 2016. I don't know.
I don't remember us recommending that though.
The one above that references 18A. I didn't know
I think this was a
I
mutual.
don't see that in the list.
So it's been merged
Is
from
that a
those
typo? Does that mean 8A?
Yeah, yeah.
Potentially. If they worked on it.
Yeah, there's Key Park on 8A too. But I think we can all get the gist there.
Yeah. We'll clean it up. So should 8A come off then?
And feel free to like highlight stuff or do anything you want on this and save it,
Okay.
and then I can always send it to you.
Okay.
So
This
you're
is
saying it would
my
come off,
copy.
it would come off because it's never going to happen, it's not a good spot to do it, something like that?
Because it's just not a priority of ours?
So 8A, again, I don't know if 8A is corresponding to
It-
what's on the map.
I don't remember that one. That one.
8A is over by,
We got to it.
No, I don't remember ever talking about that trail. So I think it's, must be a merge over.
There's a
out there
social
talking
trail that
from
goes
ProStack.
from Coyote Ridge down a
Yeah.
sharp bank into the
Right.
Pirate Park.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about replacing that with something that switched back to where it's not a fall line.
Oh, instead of those steep
Yeah.
descents.
Exactly.
And what do you call it, a shark line?
Fall line,
Fall
yeah.
It's a really steep trail.
I would,
line?
I would say we would keep it on, I mean, unless told that, I mean, we don't want it, I mean, I would vote to keep this one on just for the fact that there's a social trail there, which means people
Okay.
have created something that it needs to be there.
And that's part of Coyote Ridge.
Yep.
It's fun to
Something
ride
different.
that, actually. It's a good time to go.
Okay, 9, construct soft trail along west boundary of Sagamore between trail entrance and
same as the 3B?
No, 9 is literally a sidewalk along West Coal Creek Drive. Go up, see over there in the northwest, yeah, right there.
Okay, yeah,
That leads out to the gates.
yeah.
I don't know, no. That would, I don't know, would that be town or county?
That's to be town, I believe.
Because it'd be along the road, which I think is town-owned, not county-owned, I guess. But I don't know where town boundaries are.
I don't either.
It seems like a good opportunity to get more access to that area
Cute.
and probably safer
Okay.
route.
14, construct trail from Colorado K west of McCaslin.
That's the one that kind of ran between the houses in that kind of low area that, I do remember getting some pushback on that one when we sent out a survey of the neighbors, but I mean, again, I think we talked about them, so yeah, 14 on the bottom, so it goes
Basically,
from El Dorado High School out to McCaslin through kind of like an kind of easement area between, then,
That's a sidewalk.
yeah, kind of, but it's down.
Oh, okay. Now I know, I can tell you.
Oh, I'm north.
I'm
Because then
not,
this is like Indiana.
I'm not up to speed on this one, so hold on before you move on.
Sure.
We did like a resident survey of this area, and we got some pushback from the people that live there, and there was also concerns that it was kind of a marshy area.
It's very, very wet out there.
Yeah.
I walked it when we were talking about it, and I mean, I was
Squish.
thinking.
So we also have 6 on there. Do we want both, or do we want?
6 is the fireman park, and I think there were some issues, that was gonna be like a really steep grade or really
Very
expensive.
expensive, will probably need to be added as a public works project.
Okay.
That's
So would
6.
14 be
Yeah.
cheaper?
Doesn't 6 straddle that gorge?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, they were talking about retaining walls having
Yeah.
to be built, and there's a really short section.
Yeah.
There's an existing sidewalk that goes from the neighborhood to that
Right.
fireman's playground, but then nothing from there to McCaslin.
okay.
Yeah, that's kind of a drag right through there. There's no trail. I've been there many a time and I end up wandering through the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I think we should leave it on, given that 6 may never happen.
14. Okay,
It's a
15?
nice connector too, and you do it the whole loop.
I immediately go to remove 15. Because I like the social trail.
Because they're,
Because they're
Because
soft
they're soft,
surface,
yeah.
not hard trails. I mean, that's feedback that we've gotten from a lot of different people, that the soft surface trails are disappearing.
yes, they are.
Community park. So it's right here.
So what number was that?
15 is by Community Park, the yellow line.
Oh, I agree. We have plenty of park trails at Community Park. I think the mix there is quite nice. In fact, that's where I was about an hour ago, on that trail.
And seriously, I'm fine with it on there, it's just one that I would not vote highly for.
Okay.
So it says replace it with hard surface.
Okay, so we're moving.
So that would be cement, basically, we're talking
And then
about?
we,
Yeah, I
and then
think so.
we would be maintaining it. Because right now, we don't maintain them, right?
Who maintains that? Just
It would be
nature?
Parks and,
Oh, the park.
it would be if it were hard surface, if it was, but nobody.
So the way it
Yes.
stands
Humans.
right now, it's just maintained by
Yeah.
foot
Foot
traffic.
traffic.
Yeah.
Foot traffic.
It's
keeps
an
it-
unofficial trail that gets no maintenance right now.
And that's the same basically for all of these on the list? That-
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's the one that went in community park, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, that's really the only social, well, no, the Pirate Park also has a social trail.
I would say keep it on.
Yeah, I mean,
Can I ask,
Take that in.
I'm sorry, you said the word social trail.
Yep.
Fine.
Means it's been created by people without permission of the city.
Ah.
It's not a formalized trail that's being maintained.
Helps you
People-
get from here to there
It's a
faster.
shortcut.
Shortcut.
Exactly right.
Somebody said that earlier, it wasn't one ear, not the other. I'm good. Thank you.
Can we keep that one?
Yeah, I don't see any reason to take it off.
Okay.
Like I said, I think it just comes down to how we rank it. I mean,
Absolutely.
uh,
And then this doesn't have a number to it, improve surface and safety of Colton Trail.
That's the county though, right?
Yeah, that's the
Is that on
southern
the county list?
grasslands.
And I think
plan.
they have plans to like do some work on that soon, so.
Yeah, it was supposed to be looked at before the flood and then got, you know. what,
Postponed 5 years.
7 years back from the flood now.
Okay, so then completed, we'll take those off.
Yeah.
In progress, Trail 136, so 1A and 13. My brain looked at 13 and wanted to read it 1-3 for some reason after reading 1A. I don't think 1A and 1.
Yeah, it is. It's up
Oh,
off
that's
36. Yeah. So that's the one we got money for Dr. Cog from, right?
I can't remember how far it goes, but yes, that is part of what we were doing with the Dr. Cog
Okay.
money.
Yeah. 13 over by the park, like going towards Flatirons Home.
Yep.
It's the Crusher Fine, it goes from the
Okay.
skate park.
So, I think we'll do that.
Oh, cool.
So they're planned, do we keep them on?
I think until they're done, we do.
Okay.
I mean, there's no construction that's been started on them, on either one of them.
Yeah, I mean, and they won't, the designing will happen in 2020. We wouldn't get the money until 2021
Okay.
to literally build it.
Okay.
So the tar trail will go through the Frisbee Golf Course?
Yes.
Pending
Recently
being
discovered.
added to the list. So these are the ones that definitely have, very expensive, will probably need to be added as a public works project. So these are ones that we can choose. The way we kind of talked about these was we can choose, I called it like the hopper list. Like we have our top 15, let's say, but then we keep this hopper list of like, yep, these are these are our big wishes, but these are our other ones that are a little more realistically going to happen, these 15. So maybe not eliminate these completely, but come up with a way to choose, okay, now number 11, we have space for it, let's put number 11 on the list. So that's kind of where we were coming from in this group. But if there's others that we'd like to see just come off for reasons, I think that's fine. We just have 5 minutes to do so. So 6.
6 and 6A, I like. Just there's a gap. It's kind of dangerous going down that road.
Which one's 6?
Lower, there you go.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Now, 6A, now, I was gonna say, they built some trails in Calmonte, but 6A is not there. It goes out further north of where 6A is on that list.
Because it's somewhere through here, right?
Yeah.
To the underpass.
Well, I think too, that one may have been taken off because it was built last year.
6A?
No, the one around Calmonte that goes under the overpass,
Yeah.
under the,
Yeah, I mean, I have no super strong feelings on any of the ones that are in that list. I'm kind of in your camp with keep them on there, and at some point, we have a pretty small town, we may need these just to get a top 10, right?
Mhm.
The only reason they need to come off is if they were completed. That is
Okay.
my opinion.
So do you think we should rank them, or should we keep them kind of in a list that,
I mean, why not let people rank them, and if they're not important to me, but they're really important to Sean, he should at least have a vote, right?
Yeah.
of course.
I mean, I think we'll see them naturally drift to the bottom, but
Yeah.
that's just my guess.
But if they're all very expensive, then it would depend how much money would be available at a certain time. You may then opt
Which is
for
a long time
for the
from now.
cheapest one, whatever.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
that could be ranking, right?
So in just scanning through, 17 and 18 look like they are
County.
county trails, so we can put them on the county list. Question about 22, if that is considered
Even
county.
when it says rejected. Like it's 17.
I think that's feedback we got from Boulder County, right?
What number?
On 18.
17 and 18. One could argue 19. And none of those are on that. Yeah, none on the other map either. So I don't know where those are. Yes, we just put them on the county, all three of those?
Well, I think 18's on the map. If you show the map, it's the one that runs along parallel to the chasm. Yeah, see the red down there? 18, Boulder County has rejected these options due to grades.
Oh, thanks.
and other things.
Oh, and mine, that set, in
Yeah.
18 and 17 just came as red boxes.
Yeah.
I didn't get them. Okay, thanks. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Think about those, and you think about what we have across the street, basically, 6 and 14 and 6A. Probably don't need both.
When we rank, you get to make that.
Fair point.
So
There's
17
also
through
been-
19, sorry, go
No,
ahead.
there's also been talk about, of course, 18 connecting over to whatever they're calling Rocky Flats now, and are concerned about that. So kind of a soft hold on any pursuing things related to that as well.
So do we want to move all three of those, 17, 18, 19 to county?
Yes, they would be moved to county for
Yeah.
sure.
And then, are there any others that we want to make any, scratch off completely?
Did you get 9 on county as well? Or are we saying that's town?
Did not
It's
get
along
that.
the road.
So, is that, I
I
don't know
will-
what that means.
I think it could be either, really.
Yeah.
I think it could be.
Just because it's on the west side and it's leading out of town, I guess I would put that on county. Just my opinion. I mean, if it's town, even better.
Okay.
But
Any others?
can I also suggest for number 17, because I put that pretty diagram together for it of trails and loops, that we include that on that other, whatever tab we have that shows the maps, so that it's a little more illustrative of what 17 would be from a county standpoint. I don't think we have anything comparable for 18 and 19. And is there any reason why 18 and 19 would necessarily have to be the way they're done here? I mean, so we have Colton Trail going straight west, right? And I know part of that land, if you go the way it's shown here, yeah, you're gonna hit a lot of ups and downs, right? And I can understand that. But isn't there part of anything south of Colton Trail? I mean, we've had our wagon ride up Colton and gone off to the south of there. And it seems like that south side, there is a pretty good plateau that goes a ways. But I don't know how far. I'm just saying that we could make 18 into something else other than what is here that might be a little more
Yeah.
manageable. You don't have to keep rehashing the same direct straight down across hills and valleys.
The two things I've heard from Boulder County on that is it's all part of the management plan for the southern grasslands. And then two, there have been a couple archaeological finds in that area. And they don't really want people in a lot of that area because they've found like some dinosaur bones and stuff, and they don't want too many people getting in that area.
Okay, all right.
But I would love to have something go that way. I never ride the Colton Trail. I ride the other 3/4 of that trail, turn around, and go back the other direction because
Yeah,
it's just a road.
It's just a road, big service road,
I love that trail.
just straight up.
I do, and that's my favorite thing in this entire
Heartbreak
town.
Hill.
Everybody can vote, right?
Heartbreak Hill.
So this leaves us with about 25, and I'll put this back together. But then the next step will be, because we want to come up with which, we're not going to rank yet, we need to come up with our top 20 that we are going to rank. And then, so if I just counted correctly, we have 25, so that means we have 5 kind of left in that hopper list. I need to come up with a better name for it, but 5 that would get pushed if something got completed in the future. So, and we will shoot to have that. Ryan and I meet with ProStack in a couple weeks, I think 2 weeks from yesterday. So I'll shoot to have this out to you guys probably tomorrow, and then I'll give you as much time as we can, and then with the hopes that we'll start probably ranking, I think in March, right? We're in February right now.
So you said top 20? So
So
we're
I
right
think-
off the bat eliminating the county ones, right? We would be ranking those separately.
I think so. I think what we'll do is I'll put this back together, and I'll double check with Ryan and the other two, because they're also doing the same exact process at their meeting next week, right?
Yes.
So then, I just want to make sure that we're not doing more work than what we need to, but, so stay tuned. Okay?
How will this be sent out? I mean,
How will it?
because I didn't get this when I was.
It's sent out to the group distribution list.
Not on it yet.
Guess not.
All right.
I mean, I got Allison's link with the agenda and everything. And,
Well,
And that was
maybe you were
yesterday.
added.
I bet you were, because I sent this
Since
out Thursday
then.
morning,
Okay,
last
okay,
Thursday
okay.
morning.
But I will forward it to you. Well, actually, she's going to redo it and
Okay,
then send it
that's
out,
fine,
and you
yeah,
should
that's fine, yeah.
be on the new list.
So we need to rank before you go to your 225 meeting, is that correct? I didn't catch that.
You won't rank, you will, you'll come up with your top 20 that you want to rank.
Before you go to that 225 meeting.
Potentially, I need to go back and see if that's, double check our plans, but it's gonna be either we come up with that for that meeting, or it may be that we do it. We just need to have it done by March, by our March meeting. I just need to double check. All right?
You know what? That was sent out on 2/6, and you were on this email. If we have the right email.
I spent half day going through my emails today.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I have the right
That's a
email.
rough day.
We can talk later.
Okay.
Are you good, Tracy?
Sure.
How you doing?
Hitting record and moving on, huh?
Great.
Okay, so.
Okay. So the next thing we're going to work on is the bullets. Oh, thanks. I know, it's really, yeah. So again, this was the other thing that came out of our leadership meeting with ProStack, was it went really, really well, and we all agree that our position paper is great. It's just too much information at this point. And so we want to be able to pare down what we provide back to the board at this point in time to like 3 bullets, maybe 2 to 3 sentences per bullet, based on based on what we already have written in the
Position paper?
position paper. Thank you. So this was kind of Brian's first stab at it. He knows, and I mentioned this in an email, he is not the best wordsmither. I am not either. Will never claim to be. So
Kate, I'm confused by this. What is the plan? Is ProStack coming up with 3 bullets and OSAC is coming up with 3 bullets and you're merging them?
yes.
Okay, so we're just taking our position paper and making 3 bullets out of that?
Correct. Yep. And they're coming up with 3 bullets as well that
Okay.
is stemming from, my understanding, stemming from our position paper as well.
There.
Because they have very similar beliefs that, yes, they don't want that land sold to a private purchaser. So that's where that came from. creating it as a recreational corridor. Well, we don't want it sold and we don't want it developed, and we want it maintained as open space. We did also recognize in our paper that we would like to see it, if it does get developed in some way, we would like it to be part of a recreation corridor. So.
What does TLDR stand for?
This could be my question too, I have no idea.
I didn't even notice that. I don't read the first line of things, so I don't, TLDR.
I've only briefly scanned it, but I don't love the verbiage.
Okay.
I do love the verbiage of the position paper, but I am biased. So, I don't know how to.
TLDR means too long, didn't read. It's an acronym, apparently.
For Ryan, probably used emojis in there.
It's probably a military acronym,
Probably.
like FYSA, you
A
know.
faux military acronym.
Is
I emailed
the,
the books.
Town 15 is just the, not the map, it's just this chunk?
Yep,
It's half moon?
yep.
What is this chunk?
Uh,
We cross, I think that's Indiana.
Yeah,
And there's a chunk where there's a path through it, you go under Colton. What is that?
I think
Is
that's
that
just,
part of this?
no, I think that's already just like town-owned,
What are you
like
pointing
Greenway.
to?
Sorry, I'm pointing at that map that she had, that we had earlier. Yeah, there you go.
So, not this is town
That's,
15.
what's that chunk there between Indiana and Town 15? Yeah, where the hand is.
It's part of the park.
Isn't it just part of?
Is it part of Community Park?
Yeah, it extends up there, and then there's a creek that goes right underneath the road there and runs through that, and that whole section is full of trees, and there's obviously that trail and trees flanking the trail the whole route.
So there's no break between sort of the fuzzy end of Community Park and Town 15?
I mean, that trail is kind of the
Yeah,
only
sidewalk
trail.
is
So
probably,
could
And
Town
there's a-
15 become a part of Community Park? Has that ever been raised?
Well, of course, we have raised that, yes.
We have?
That's our desire, yeah.
To have it become part of Community Park, like officially?
Yeah, to continue
Yeah.
that whole,
I read the continuum piece,
yeah.
but I didn't, from that, I couldn't figure out how that works.
Recreation corridor.
Because that one chunk, I just wasn't sure.
That one chunk is actually town-owned.
Yeah, okay.
Ooh, sorry. Yep, that's all part of town open space.
Oh, I was on that side on there too, that's, yeah,
Yep.
okay.
So we call it a migration corridor in the past, going from open space all the way
Yeah.
through the parks into
Wildlife
town.
corridor.
Gosh.
Much
Okay,
better
thank you, I
fun.
appreciate that.
Back to bullets.
So how simple do we want to be? And how, are folks considering selling it? Is that really up for, we're giving them a recommendation?
So that's how the whole conversation stemmed around that is,
Yeah.
it wasn't that the town was considering selling it, it was that they had a proposal put before them. And so the board asked us last winter to work with ProStack to come up with a collaborative plan or a collaborative idea of how we would like to see that land used so that they have something kind of in the back of their minds if another proposal were to arise.
Gosh, that's tough sell. Okay. How hard of a sell is this going to be to the board? Hard sell, or they want it now?
Board asked that OSAC and ProStack work together to come up with a unified statement on that, because we get approached by people who want to use it for other things. So rather than have our advisory committees sort of battling against each other, is there a way you could come up with a statement that didn't commit to anything, but said, basically, we want this preserved for the use of our residents in a recreational, open space, whatever, could they come up with something that we had a joint
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
This is fascinating, because
permit?
again, just a kind of a newbie to the town, I thought it was overflow parking for Colton Trailhead. Honestly, that's what I thought it was. I had no idea.
Well, that's what it's currently being used as, yeah,
Yeah.
or for then Chili Fest and whatever else.
Gosh, yeah, neat area to do like an art show or something.
So Kate, did you ever decide that those were going to be the 3 bullets, that both were going to have those 3 bullets? Or are they going to have different 3 bullets? Like the don't sell, the rec corridor, and the postmaster plan?
yes, we did decide that those three
Okay.
were going to be the focal points.
Okay.
And then
Uh-huh.
it was a matter of identifying what details we wanted under each
Okay.
one.
You could almost make those 3 sentences like one.
So it's sort of a devil's advocate question.
Mhm.
If the town were to sell that, the town would get the money and be able to use the money for town projects? For example, building some of the expensive trails we had on the other list?
We could.
Okay. Just trying to understand the plus and minuses here in my own head.
That's the end of the document there.
Yes,
Okay.
sorry.
I just want to make sure that there weren't like 4 more down there that we needed to be paring down 7 to 3, but we've got 3 here.
And that is everything, so that's all on one screen.
You're new too, what do you think?
I'm gonna throw something out. I'm happy to wordsmith this and make it 2 lines for each bullet and send it out to everyone, if that's something you want. If you want to wordsmith it right here, that's cool too.
I'm terrible with wordsmithing, so I love when anybody is going to take that on for me.
I like it.
I love that you like it. How do others feel? Is there anything on here that you absolutely do not agree with, or you do not feel like was represented in the position paper?
Okay.
I mean, the only thing I would say is, like, from an OSAC perspective, I would prefer not to say recreation.
I was going to say
corridor.
it should be like a nature corridor. Right?
Yeah.
It's not purely recreation, it's nature, right? We are an open space committee. It should be a wildlife corridor, not a recreation, but wildlife, nature, whatever, natural
But
corridor.
remember, this is going to be
I
joined with ProSAC.
I understand, but
Can we get geeky with it, like talk about habitat fragmentation?
recreation insinuates we could put a bunch of tennis courts or basketball courts or, you know, manicured football field or whatever over there, or a giant rec center. You know, that could mean lots of different things that would not be in the purview of this committee. So I have a little bit, recreation I would like to change to something else. Recreation can also mean open space where people are hiking and whatnot, but it could mean a lot of other things. So I think we need to be very careful on
Could
what
you
we
make
use
it
for a word there.
Nature recreation corridor?
Sure, nature, recreation, wildlife, and nature and recreation, you know.
It's pretty long.
It is, but again, we're trying to be representative of what it is. It's not just purely recreation, it's also for the creek that goes through there. It's for,
Did you read the last
And
sentence?
maybe what you want to do is not necessarily
Yeah.
call it a recreation corridor, say a corridor that preserves the recreational opportunities as well as preserves the protects the nature and the movement of nature, or something like that. I mean, because I think that's probably closer to what you know, I wouldn't try and narrow it down into 1 or 2 words.
Yeah.
Come up with what describes what you want to have happen there.
Other than that word,
I appreciate the brevity, but at the same time, you want to get the message across of what you want to have happen there.
I'm fine with the 3 major bold topics. I mean, those all look at me. Like I said, my only problem is I think recreation is too focused for the 2 groups together. But I also, you know, as you know, one of our things is how do we get through these meetings. You know, one of my big things was offloading some of this offline and, you know, not spending 45 minutes going over these or the and this. So if Tracy's willing to do that, I think it's time better spent where we can all review it on our own and read it and think about it as
in the
opposed to sitting here.
suggestions slot, yeah.
And I'm just looking at the things listed. I don't know if we want to list everything, because in the past, we've talked about community gardens, equestrian center. I don't know if I see that up there. We've discussed that ad nauseum, as well as a collaboration of parks and open space on the same thing, and I don't see that listed either. And I think that's even in the position paper, the combo of park and open space.
Yeah, I was just looking at the position paper to see what we actually had.
Anybody else? Any other absolute no-goes? And then if everybody feels all right about that, we can say, let's give Tracy an opportunity to wordsmith it.
Okay, cool. What are you calling this? Bullets? 15 bullets?
Oh,
I guess the key message is don't sell, right?
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, and selling is a final decision. You can always sell later. You can always kick this can down the road. It strikes me that we don't necessarily have a plan. Like, I think that's a.
Well, it leaves it open in the future.
Yeah,
That's
it's not our
exactly
plan
right,
to
and that's
make.
okay. But if
Yeah.
I'm on the board and I wonder if some of the board are looking for something more concrete, and so I think part of the message is you don't have to sell it today. It's worth more tomorrow than it is today.
And in my opinion, that's what they've put forward.
Okay.
There's
We're
been
not
a pause on
asking you
this.
to tell us what you want on there, because that's going to come out of your PROS master plan.
Okay, thank
You're
you.
going to come up with the priorities, but what are the general concepts of what you want to see happen on that piece of land? And a joint statement from the two committees is important for us to use going forward. We can say, hey, you know what? Our experts have said, this is what they want to see happen here from a concept of what we do with that piece of land.
Cool. Hold on, I'm just making sure Teresa's catching up. You guys let me know when you're ready. Okay, good.
Okay, cool. All right. Allison moved on.
We're good? Okay, third discussion point. So event planning and marketing. So this kind of, we kept this on as we started the discussion last month around kind of what all we do for marketing. And I know, and then Sean had actually sent out the Earth Day event that Louisville was doing. And so we just kind of started, Ryan and I were talking about, thinking about the next few months. Trails Day is in June.
Yep.
Is that, and we also talked about publicizing which, thank you, by the way, Allison, for your email about our awesome trailhead. And just figuring out kind of what the next steps are in publicizing that, which I have an idea. And choosing, so, like I said, Louisville's they're doing a community cleanup. It is on a Wednesday, that is the bummer of Earth Day. So one of the things that we're talking about is that something that we want to do on Earth Day here in Superior, and then also do a National Day of Service in the fall? And do a similar, I feel like we have a windy enough place that we live that there's trash always around, not because people are negligent, because trash just gets blown over. Is there a benefit to doing it both times of the year? And if so, do we want to do that? Or other thoughts on the Earth Day?
We don't currently have anything the town does right now for Earth Day, right? There's
No, let me look at what the date for Arbor Day that falls for that.
Oh, I could just do that.
I like the idea. Who knows what we're gonna get from weather, right? It could be gorgeous and everybody's out, ready to get outside for the spring, and it could be a monsoon or a
Yeah.
blizzard or.
When Ryan and I were talking about it, we were like, El Dorado has late start that day, and Superior has early release that day, so maybe we partner with the schools and do something in the morning and then something in the afternoon, which I love, but then the weather in
Listen,
April.
Superior would be an early release on Wednesday, that's Thursday.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, still, 2:30 is
Yeah.
plenty of daylight.
April
In April.
25th is Arbor Day for us.
Oh, interesting.
That typically OSAC will have members at Arbor Day in a booth.
Which, I mean, I think that lends the question, should we just hand out supplies at Arbor Day to try to get a town cleanup, or maybe after, at 10 o'clock or something, we have a organized section where maybe we go clean up community park. I mean, I think it's going to be easier to get, people involved if we involve the schools, especially at that time of year. I kind of feel like it's so early in the school year when we do the one in September, right? Early September. Like, that one just always sneaks up on me. Like, I never can get that one done, but.
And it's usually near Chili Fest, and
Right.
we do a booth there also, so.
We did also talk about a grand opening for the trailhead.
Yep.
Sometime around that, so I don't know if that
They're
plays a
really
part.
catchy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask this question, although I'm pretty sure I know the answer. Is anybody planning to go to Louisville's Earth Day?
First part of it.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Okay. That's why I ask. And it's like 10 a.m. to like noon or something.
Oh,
It's,
no,
I mean,
absolutely
it is
not.
right smack in the middle of the day.
I've been to work those days.
What? You work normal hours? What?
It's kind of an interesting choice. I wonder what audience they're targeting. Kids are going to be in school, right?
Mhm.
Baseball's in full force, I know.
Mhm. I mean, I don't know if this is their first year doing it. So I like this idea. I like the idea of actually having a set time at Arbor Day and I'd be happy to lead it, go from, one point and say, we're going to go clean up trash, and another point is just another.
Where would we go and clean? For example, I'm thinking about the new trailhead.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want people going off the trail
Mm-hmm.
much. So when you say clean, you would sort of walk the trail and clean it? Or would you go to a place like Community Park where there's a lot more sort of roaming allowed?
I'd probably start in a place like Community Park.
Okay.
Because it's very visible, and it would be cool for, people that aren't attending things that day to be able to see that that's something that's happening.
And that's what Louisville is doing. They're meeting at their community park, and then they're fanning out
Yeah.
into open spaces
And
that
Arbor-
are adjacent.
Arbor Day's at Wildflower Park still, right?
Arbor Day is the one that we do somewhere different, right? Didn't we?
I don't
Audrey last year.
know which park. Let me
Okay.
take a peek if I can find out for you.
I think you're right, it does move around, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Depending on where we need trees. Usually,
I need to ask you a question.
Wildflower
about
needs
that.
trees.
there are a lot of trees.
Huh?
There's a lot of trees.
There are.
at the top.
Fair enough. It's all relative.
It is. It just depends, yeah. So right now, it's at Wildflower. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, and there's,
Because we're gonna have construction at Autry. That's why.
I mean, we could start it from Wildflower, and I mean, there's an entire green belt that goes, to the kind of north and east. I mean, I think there's a lot of possibilities, and I don't think we're gonna have to look too hard to find trash, to your point. I mean, every Monday when it's trash day on our side, it's 60-mile-an-hour winds.
Absolutely,
So,
because it's a Monday.
yeah.
Okay. So then, we haven't decided anything as specific as an opening for Ormond Roche, correct?
Right, and what we're waiting on is to get the signs back and get everything installed and have it ready. And then we'll do like a press release with Boulder County, have the rangers there, and try to figure out, we'll need to talk about, like parking, and like if a lot of people show up, where are people gonna go, or how are we setting things up? Or are we busing people then and paying for transportation if they park at Town 15? How big of an event are we doing? Or, we'll have to talk logistics and stuff.
I have this amazing idea, but I think March is so hard with the weather. It's Women's History Month in March. I was like, wow, that'd be amazing.
That's a nice idea. And hopefully I'll have some renderings of the signs that Historic Commission has come up with on Ormond and Roche for, historical signage up there with some pictures. And so that would be super cool. That's a great idea. If it all comes
I know.
to fruition.
We're gonna be covered in snow, we're gonna be
Yeah.
covered in snow forever at this rate. And then the next thing is collateral at these meetings.
Collateral?
Yeah, I don't know what that means. Is he talking about like the stuff? Not the stuff that we hand out necessarily, not like poop bags.
Using military terms again.
Did we make a decision on A?
Collateral
I think
damage.
my understanding is that we decided that Earth Day itself was hard and that we would give an opportunity at Arbor Day that I'm happy to lead to do some trash pickup
Got it.
for that.
So be independent of anything with the new trailhead, all that?
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good.
Are you guys fine with that? Since I'm gonna go work.
Collateral at these meetings.
Collateral at these meetings.
Then maybe handouts, or?
That's what I think it
Yeah.
means. Is he talking about like how we often get requests for maps, trail maps?
I mean, it's a marketing term, collateral, so that's.
What else do we have? We have the postcard that has the how to get connected. But I don't know what he's talking about, I'm gonna be honest. I must have missed that line. And I think the other question that we had was just around postcards that we talked about in January, I keep saying, I think in February.
That was assuming we had a date.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We have you were saying, if I remember right, March is when we're expecting the signage?
Spring.
Spring.
We kept it
Even more
general.
okay.
Spring.
That works.
So is there anything else that we feel like we need to kind of work towards doing a better job with marketing? Because that was one of the things we did talk about was around Trails Day and we had a brief discussion about opening it up to the county, and we decided, no, we wanted it to be just a town thing. Is there anything that we would like to see done differently around that?
Are you bypassing the collateral?
Yes.
We don't know what it means.
Unless you have insight.
No, I just assumed that he's thinking, do we want anything different than what we usually have at events? And the only thing I can think of is Earth Day. Does ACES do anything for Earth Day? Because we could try to bring them in. I mean,
That's a different committee.
Mhm.
Art,
That's art.
okay?
ACES. Oh, what do they stand for?
What's ACES stand for?
Yes.
The Advisory Committee for Environmental Sustainability.
Thank you.
Lots of multi-syllable words.
Fantastic. We have one of those?
Yeah.
Well, and they're doing a lot of great stuff right now, so I would assume they're doing something, but if they're not, maybe we could collaborate with them, and they have lots of,
I can reach out to
Are
them.
they working on this thing with us?
no.
Oh,
Well, I think too, because
they'd sign off.
ACES also participates in a booth in Arbor Day, which is on the 25th. And so a lot of times, groups won't do more than one type of event that members have to participate in, because a lot of times members don't have availability. So I guess it's all up to the group and who has availability to work on the project and get things going and be available.
So collateral materials means all packaging, tags, labels, instructions, warranties, and other materials of any similar type associated with the licensed products that are marked with at least blah, blah, blah.
So it's gotta be our maps.
Yeah. So you
But we
just,
got a new map last year, didn't we?
well, you mean the folding maps?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, we don't have new folding ones. I have a big one.
Well, we're no longer doing the passport program.
Oh, bummer.
And our group was handing them out, kind of piggybacking on that recreation program.
Okay.
And we have a new event and our placemaking supervisor coordinator in the old event supervisor's position. It's a kind of a new position that's more, and she hasn't continued that specific program because a lot of the participants dropped off after a few years.
Okay, so we don't need any new paperwork, we decided, right?
I mean, I still have postcards that, or the handouts that talk about how to get connected to everything.
Or trails map.
I have a Trails map.
Well, we have the
I have
app, the new
everything.
app that you
Yeah.
could talk about at the booth, which would probably be really fun to show to people.
That's a good point, yeah.
True.
The Boulder County.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, it was a collaboration
Oh, was
with
it?
all
Okay.
the towns and cities and Boulder County, and we all worked together
Okay.
to work on GIS and trail connectivity. And there are some updates that still need to be done on some of the connectivity, but, that'll be, as that app gets more developed.
Sure.
So we could make a little thing that shows what the app is called or
Mhm.
blah, blah, blah. Okay,
We could load it on phones and show
yeah, that's great.
people.
Is there power in these booths?
Not unless we get a generator.
I was going to say, unless you bring a power generator.
Kind of against the Arbor Day Earth Day thing, you have a gas generator.
Show each other.
Get a battery one, battery powered.
Well, it might be nice even to have little cards with the information, because sometimes, like, if that's something the group is going to push for 4th of July and Chili Fest, even though we'll probably have engagement for the master plan, connectivity oftentimes in those parks is not as great as we would like it to be.
That's all.
But if
But
we
that's gonna
have
change
some
soon.
things to,
Yeah.
You're on the
hand out.
horizon.
Yeah.
That's all.
I don't know, dude.
So, yeah, I think there's a sharing thing going on. There's a new tower up on the Century Road, Century One for the tower up, but I'm getting access to it.
Is there anything else? So we have the map. Something about the BOCO app, we keep writing map too. And then there's something else we said that I have. Oh, the,
Collaborating with ACES, but they're already gonna have a booth, but.
I'll reach out to them.
Okay.
I can do that, right? That's not against any rules. I'll reach out
It's
to them.
encouraged,
Find
I
out.
think.
As long as there's not more than 2 of us on email.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna just add people.
well, if they
No,
don't
I'm just
have,
kidding.
maybe they don't have plans yet.
And they may
Maybe
not.
they-
And then, okay. Anything else around planning and marketing for Arbor Day, which we don't really head up? Trails, National Trails Day.
We're just talking specifically Arbor Day? Okay.
Or any of the other
Oh.
events that we have coming up, because we know we can't do anything about Ormond Roche until we
Mm-hmm.
have something to do with.
So we're bringing up our conversation from last time. We talked about social media, paid Facebook, schools, clubs, youth leadership, scouts, postcard.
Do we have, I feel like I should know this, but, and maybe I've asked this and I still don't know it. I know Town of Superior has a Facebook page, but does like Open Space have a Facebook page?
No, and, I'm not saying this can't change, but like, even Parks Rec and Open Space, our department does not have a separate Facebook page. It's one town unified Facebook page. So remember, part of our discussion about marketing was, we'll always put out anything the group would
Yeah.
like, but it can't always occur on a
Totally.
specific day. It's kind of wiggly depending on what other things have to be pushed out.
Yep.
Because we really only have these, specific, depending on how many places it goes.
Okay.
Facebook can be easier. Instagram can be way, way easier. It's, because we can blast out anything on there. But as far as e-blasts going to our mailing list, sometimes you have to give us a day or two to
Yeah.
work around other departments pushing out information.
Okay.
Yeah. And right now National Trails Day will be on June 7th.
Okay.
So if everybody is aware of that, that would be good. Just in case for our new people.
So what are the expectations to committee members on those events, on those days?
Typically, members try to attend the event
Okay.
and man a booth, and then sometimes the group does raffles or
There's usually set up and tear down, like before and
Okay.
after. and-
Snacks.
So it's a
and
separate booth
drinks.
for our committee and we take care of that ourselves, so to speak. Okay.
Okay.
and I order all the stuff and mark things,
And then I-
order the tints.
And then I keep it in my purse.
And then she keeps it in her purse.
I do.
It's like a grassroots
It is,
event.
it's good. We just know where all OSAC stuff is in my basement. Okay, any other thoughts on the marketing or anything, or event planning? Is there anything else, Allison, that you need from us for Trails Day, or are we? are you-
So for Trails Day currently, I've got the date.
Mhm.
I've ordered tents, tables, chairs.
Okay,
The group hasn't really discussed if they wanted to keep it the same way and to book the same groups. So I haven't reserved any state conservation or Hot Quest or
are we?
Wagon ride.
Are we
Wagon
okay?
Ride. I haven't booked anything.
Are we okay bringing ideas and talking about that in May? March?
Absolutely, but if
Wow,
the
it
group,
just jumped like 2 months.
but if the group can say right now, yes, we want all the same stuff, that's awesome, then I can book them. It's up to, we have quorum, so it's up to you.
Can I jump back again? So are we like letting the marketing die? I feel like we didn't really decide anything with marketing.
I think we were really just intending to figure out where we were at with it.
Okay.
More of a, did you feel like there was more we needed to decide on?
I just don't think we did decide anything. And if we don't need to, that's fine. Like, I love the postcard idea that we talked about last time, and I'd love to pursue that.
I was thinking that, like, we'll have one more meeting before Arbor Day, so we
Okay.
would probably at next meeting say, 5 days out, we'd like to have something like this. I mean, I think we need to have a plan like that that says, what do we do? Because I don't think we do a great job at getting our stuff out to the town to say, push it out. I don't see it in the channels, at least, usually. I mean,
No.
I get the one email from the town, that talks about it, but I think we can do better on some of the other. But I think we need to come up with the timing of when we want to do it. I think recency helps. Like, I just can't plan more than, 3 or 4 days out. I always have something else going on, so, I mean, I think we need
You're
to.
talking about sending a card.
Well, I'm talking about like
Say
telling
4 or 5
Allison,
days or
yeah, like, on Tuesday or Wednesday before the Arbor Day event, say, can we get something out on the town's Facebook page or something that says there's going to be a cleanup event? Because I think if we put it out now, nobody's going to remember that, right?
Right.
Well, so one thing would be to think about is like, right now, Arbor Day event information will be going out soon, or has already gone out, or is already on our webpage. So, and like our programs, like our outdoor education programs with Ashley DeLopp, the wildlife ecologist, just so you guys are in the loop with that, we have a wildlife ecologist that is paid to do some outdoor education programming. All her dates are already solidified and up for registration. So dates will go into our rec guides, recreation guides that are delivered to homes. Then they'll be in a town newsletter and a Parks, Rec, and Open Space newsletter. And then before the events, if the attendance numbers are low, we'll push it out right before the event on Facebook and Instagram. But we'll also do like maybe a week or 2 ahead of that on Facebook and Instagram. So the one area the group felt we were really lacking in were the postcards. And, or we could even potentially put something in rooftop drop, which is the chamber.
Rooftop.
What does that have?
Or putting stuff at, Arbor Day would apply,
Right.
but school, club, youth leadership,
Right.
but Trails Day wouldn't apply
You know,
to schools.
Right.
One of the things that's really effective for me, like, again, I don't plan well, but when I'm driving home from work and I see community movie in the park Friday night, they just have the little stand that sits there. That, to me, is the most effective marketing because I see it every day when I go to and from, park and ride or in and out. I mean, the one I always see is right at the top of Rock Creek and McCaslin. And I mean, something like that, I think, like I said, works well for me. Maybe I'm the only person that notices.
Are they the big A-frames?
Yeah.
The placards.
Yeah.
A-frames, right, got
Yeah.
it, the plastic,
Mhm.
okay.
Just something like Arbor Day event or something like
So
that.
Kate, are you ready for an A-frame with mini posters in the replacement. I don't know, like, you know, we would have to, and it would have to move because Ashley's programs are like in the community room at the sports stable, or they'll be in Community Park, or they'll be at South Pool, behind South Pool,
It's a
or
good idea, though.
Autry
But it
Park.
could be generic, right? And, I mean, just, you know, like a, I don't know what.
Like check Facebook for the
You know,
events.
wildlife
Events.
activity program this Friday or something. Now, maybe the date changes enough, we couldn't
Right.
do that, but, like I said, those are the ones that catch my attention. I'm just
Right.
trying to think of what I ignore, because I get hundreds of emails a day that I never
Right,
look at, right?
right.
But that always, like, I never remember when the movies are, but I always see them when I'm coming home Friday from work, and I say, hey, kids, you want to go to the movie? Oh, yeah, let's go, you know?
Right,
And it's,
right.
it's one of those things where we just go.
Maybe Saturday night.
How did this not blow down?
I don't know, we don't typically use them. We
I'm
do
just
put
thinking
like
about
event signs up, or we'll sometimes have a big banner for like Chili Fest.
Yeah.
But I guess too, we have
Well-
to be really careful with Ashley's programs because she can only fit a max of 20 to 30 people. So then if we get 100 people, that's also a problem. So I don't know, it's like an interesting balance, and I'm not exactly sure, you know, what. I mean, National Trails Day, that would be an easy one to
Yeah.
put something big like that up, because, or Jeff and Paige, because we have so much capacity.
And that's more what I
Yeah.
was thinking of for the ones that we're trying to get as many people to show up as
Right,
possible.
or the cleanup,
Yeah.
right? But in the past, the cleanup has also been kind of almost an on your own is how the committee ran it. So they would leave supplies at town hall or deliver supplies to homes to clean up in the areas that they use the most.
Did
So,
that have effective?
Yes and no.
I think it's easy.
I always
Yeah,
thought with
to do.
that kind of stuff, you want to go to a school and get kids to sign
and
up.
we,
Or kids, you go to, as part of an assembly, you talk for 3 minutes, and then the kids go home with a flyer with instructions to recycle the flyer. And,
and we
go
have
to this
done
website and sign up for
school
this cleanup.
cleanups, but that's,
Yeah.
hasn't been
I'm not
a
talking about-
OSAC-led.
Okay. I'm not talking about cleaning up the school.
Right.
No,
I'm
no,
talking about-
we've done all the Coyote Ridge, and we've done that with school, you know, the schools, so it's just, it
Were
hasn't
those
been.
effective?
Yeah, because it was during school time,
Oh,
and,
that's not what I meant. This is not what I meant. What I meant
Okay.
was go to the school, get the kids excited. They go home and tell their parents,
right,
here's a flyer, just like they take home flyers for their pictures and yearbooks
Right.
and everything else. Hey, I want to do this. Sign us up. You have to go to this webpage and sign us up. And then it goes on a calendar, and then they come.
I love it.
I also love the idea of doing the quick trigger stuff. I'm with you. I think that people respond to different things. My wife's a planner. If she sees it Friday night and she hadn't thought about it 2 weeks earlier, she ain't going. But I'm with you. If I see it and I don't have any plans, I
Right.
come up with something, I'm going to go.
She could
So-
respond to the postcard.
What's that?
She could respond to the postcard that she got.
So, and I think that's
3 weeks
another
ahead of time.
angle, is this postcard. I thought we were waiting on the postcard till we had the launch for the trail, but we don't know when that's gonna be, and that's gonna be overcome by Arbor Day real quick. Right? Do you think we'll have we still just a spring? The spring runs through June.
yeah, and see, our, we have this, it's a specific sign maker that's being used, and they haven't given us a date that it will be complete.
Understood.
And we're also working with Boulder County, who has signage that they're responsible for also with their rules and regs. And I was hoping that all of that would be up, so then when we did it, there wouldn't be constantly some more things being added afterwards. It would be nice if it was all perfect. But I mean that, and we talked about that too, that we could do it earlier before everything was perfect. You know, but the group wanted to wait until it was all complete. So. And as soon as I have more info, I did get info on the historical commissions, interpretive signage, and I should have renderings, so they're excited about them and they want to share them with OSAC. So that's coming, hopefully this week. Yeah, it is. And then they'll go to be printed, and that'll be more signage to put over there.
so if Arbor Day is the 25th, not if, it is the 25th of April, so if we were going to go to a place like a school or a scout troop, when would we do that? March? No, when?
Spring break.
Well, okay.
You do it after spring break.
Right, because of memory loss.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
kids
right
will
after
not-
spring break.
Mhm.
Is that something that folks on this committee would be supportive of doing?
Yes.
Yes?
I mean, going to schools.
Yes?
Yeah.
How about contributing to the doing of?
Sure.
Yeah?
My wife works at school.
Oh, there you go.
Easy enough for me.
I think I know the vice principal, the vice chair of PTO at one of the schools or something.
Thank you, reminder. Yeah, it would just be a matter of making sure that.
Like, how do we
administration-
network this? How do we crack that egg and actually, this is not something you can pull off in a week. You gotta start talking to school people, or maybe you can.
I can.
You can?
I can for Eldo,
All right,
and Joel can for Superior.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big,
okay.
I don't think it's a long lead time. I mean, Superior, every morning, I know they do morning announcements. I mean, I think it's something we could probably get into that, as we get closer to it. I think sending the slip home, like
Yeah.
you mentioned it, I think that's a great idea. Because, that's the first thing we do every Friday is look at the Friday folder to see what's in there.
the
so.
only connection we don't have somebody directly, as far as I know, is Monarch Elementary. And this area, the students do go to Monarch, so we do need to make sure that we're including them in that.
So are we talking about potentially doing this on Arbor Day?
Yes.
Okay, so we need to talk to the event coordinator, the person that handles the events, and does this fit within, because it's going to be Wildflower Park is where Arbor Day is going to be the beginning of the cleanup, if it is.
Yep.
And like how that fits into her schedule plan for the event also.
Is the event planner somebody from the town, or?
Yeah. Yeah. And she is also the liaison to the CAPS committee.
Can you connect with her?
How many folks would you get at an average Arbor Day event in the town of Superior?
Weather.
If the weather is reasonable.
If the weather is
Last year, was it
reasonable,
huge? Wasn't it
well,
big?
we had the grand
That's right.
opening of the skate
That's right.
park, so that was probably a little different, but typically
What was there?
30 to 60 people.
Okay.
And then like for the opening of the skate park, I felt like we had maybe 75 to 120-ish, maybe.
Okay.
Over the course of the couple, it's only 2 hours.
And
It's
so the
usually 10
Arbor
to
Day-
12.
And so the Arbor Day event will include like tree planting.
Correct.
You mentioned the ecologist. We'll have some
She'll have a booth, there'll be
programs.
booths there that are affiliated in some way, shape, or form to Arbor Day that kind of relate to that. And then we'll have different committees there talking about the things they're going to be doing throughout the year.
Oh, there'll be like a stage? Or there'll
No,
be booths?
just booths where
Okay.
people can kind of browse.
Is there music?
Not typically, but usually there's coffee and people kind of hang out and talk, and
So it strikes me
there's some
cleanup.
games, there's some stuff.
Cleanup would be at the end, right? Because you want people to branch out into the neighborhoods
Yeah.
from there.
I think I would defer to her and say, when would you, if this is something you think we can do, when would you want it in the
Thank you.
schedule of events? Right.
Sorry.
If you would mind asking, that'd be awesome.
I'm sending an email.
Perfect. And then once we have an answer from that, if she says yes, it's a go, then we can talk about how to kind of market it into the schools, which I'm happy to kind of put all of that together.
There's also the service aspect of this and the scouts, Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, or I think they're just the scouts now, I don't know. But the service aspect of this strikes me as a really important angle.
Okay.
Does anyone have connections to those people?
I
But
think
they
I
are
know
willing-
people who know people. Like the Runkles, aren't they involved, or?
I know a guy who's, I don't know all the terms, like, he's not the
Sure.
den master, but he's the step below that, so.
I think I know a guy who was just asked to be like I think he was just asked to be the regional head of the Boy Scouts, like all the troops. gotta check that. Stephen Schultz, I think.
What about the Youth Leadership Council?
We have that on our list of options.
I think it's an option. I think the hard part is if it's not on their work plan, we can't add anything to their work plan.
Okay.
We could,
They have to just want to do it.
right. So,
I mean, it's just a question of asking them.
yeah.
Okay.
So Joel and Frank, do you want to reach out to scouts or no?
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to this one colleague.
I
see if
I would wait until we have an answer from Allison.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So-
That's reasonable.
So I'm basically going to say, you know, our group, OSAC has been discussing hosting a park and open space cleanup as a part of the event. Since Arbor Day is very near Earth Day, I mentioned that we would reach out to you to see what you think. You're thinking it could occur at the end of the event, beginning at 12. Is that what everybody's thinking?
I would think so.
Unless they have a better idea. I'm also wondering, yes.
I don't want to take from their.
Yeah, if there's like a toe stepping thing here.
Okay.
We can pedal back pretty quick, right?
Sounds good.
Maybe the other angle I started wondering is it too much? With people coming and planting trees and getting their hands dirty and then doing
I
this.
think we try.
We try.
I think we try.
Okay, fine, then we'll know.
Anything else?
Oh, I have to say,
It'll record.
Oh, okay. Are we good? Are you guys good?
Mm-hmm.
This is great.
And so we answered the question of collateral at this thing?
Collateral materials.
Materials, okay. And what we would provide would be, you said something about foldable maps.
It's been something that we've discussed, but it isn't
Okay.
something that we're doing at this point because it was a part of the passport program.
Okay, I'm good. I'm also for minimal on that stuff.
Yeah. We have poop bags coming, dog waste bags
Those are awesome.
in my basement. Okay.
Those are like the best.
Thank you for
I've
getting
lived
those
lots
out
of
of my
places.
office,
You were
by the way.
That was actually that was a funny one to enter the house. Kid opens it, she's like, what is this? Lots of poop bags, kid. Okay, updates and look ahead. So meeting duration ideas. So one of the things that we have struggled with as a committee is staying within our 2-hour period of time. And I guess the question really is, should we really shoot to stay within 2 hours? And if so, how can we stick to 2 hours?
Question. Are the agendas written in priority order of topics, or is it generally we have to get through everything? They're very specific with times. So if they're
They're
not-
very specific with times, but I don't know that they're very deliberately.
They're just sort of made up to accommodate 2
Well,
hours.
it's more of like, okay, we think this is going to take about 30 minutes, so we get, 30 minutes. That is definitely one thing that Ryan and I have talked about, of being better about, really, like I said at the beginning, was the first discussion of having 30 minutes to talk about it, and if it's something that we need to continue, it can get bumped to our next meeting, and that is an option. And if it's something that's urgent, then, and that we need to take care of, then it stays, and then maybe something later in the meeting gets bumped. But I mean, I think, you've seen more agendas than I have, but I definitely think that our agendas at this point prioritize the things that we need to discuss most.
And I'm supportive of trying to stick to 2 hours. I'm kind of new though. You guys have been doing this a lot longer than me.
I think we should try to stick to 2 hours. I think we should, be looking at the times on the agenda and, if we're running really long on something, I think we should table it to the next meeting or say, is this something we can work on offline? I mean, Tracy took that one earlier, which, opens up more time for something else.
Yep.
I want everybody to be able to give their voice, and I'm usually the long-winded one. But I think there's a pretty big point of diminishing returns where we can argue about finer details of wording for 45 minutes.
Yep.
I would agree with that from experience, having been on the school board of a charter school, and we had till midnight meetings, and this was just a nightmare because the contributions quality was decreasing. And so sticking, I mean, it's whether it's 2 or 2.5 hours is a different question, but I think going for a certain time is good. And if something I would always prioritize. I mean, that's when I was chairman and there, that's what I did. I said, this is the packet we have to deal today, period. And we did this first, and everything else could be pushed out to the next meeting. And if this is a continuous problem, then we may have too much on our agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we have to talk about that, whether we can handle the agenda or not.
Yeah.
But quality of meetings just goes down.
Yeah. Other thoughts? Ideas?
I like what you're doing with front-loading the meetings, like, come to the meeting with your ideas on this. I mean, I read through that a couple days ago and immediately started thinking about what I wanted to hit on bullet points so that I'm not thinking out loud as we're going through it. I mean, I think that helps.
Okay. My other intention with the pre-work is actually to, if it's something that I know that that Tracy's heading up, then to specifically say to Tracy, be ready to jump in. I haven't done that yet, but it has been on my mind. It didn't really pertain this evening, but it definitely has, because I know for me, sometimes if it's on the agenda, I don't always recognize that you're the one that's actually leading that conversation, so be ready to lead it. I'm not always on top
And
of that.
oftentimes in the past, committees have taken their work plans, people have taken the lead on different work plan items. So then there's been like little subgroups for different work plan items. And so that kind of helps that process too.
Just to build off of that, I think the agendas are really helpful. And in some cases, I think the agenda items make it clear what the goal is. In other cases, not as much. So crystallizing the agenda so that they all offer an objective or a goal, endpoint, what are we trying to get out of this, something like that, I think helps keep us focused and minimizes the distracting discussions on the side.
Is that something we can do that explicitly though, with having to post it?
Well, for example, number 5, prepare a final list for ranking. Yep, got it. I know exactly what we want to do. There's no opinions there, which I think would be a concern if, I'm not talking about the goal, not talking about stating the goal of the discussion in the agenda.
Yep.
I'm talking about stating the goal of the agenda item.
Okay.
Right. Make a recommendation
So for
for
example,
X.
Yeah.
AB was confusing to us. We didn't know what that meant. We had to look about it, we talked about it, we wasted probably 5 minutes trying to think about what it was. That's all I'm saying, is sharpen these up a little bit.
Well, just always have the things that require quorum at the very beginning, right? That's the basic, that's really what it comes down to. Those should be the priorities.
And always trying to have quorum.
Yeah.
So if you want to make a recommendation, you've got it.
Exactly.
Do it quick.
Any other?
And I would also say that whoever runs the meeting has the authority to cut short any discussion, even if people don't like it.
I think so as well. I mean, I think that we need to marshal the meetings a little bit more. I mean, and that's not to say we stop discussion. It's to say, hey, this is running long. What can we do to get moving forward, but not kill this momentum?
Or tabling it for next meeting.
Yes,
And
exactly.
we can always, we can vote to stay later if we feel like it's something that we need to just finish up at that time. That is an option as well.
And things can always be a separate item too, because sometimes I see one item that the group is trying to, or a group is trying to focus on, but it's actually 3 other things, and like, do those things warrant their own agenda item?
I love doing stuff offline, but we've had that issue in the past that we were not supposed to be doing a bunch offline. So balancing that, how much can we do? Because we can, that's great. We've done it really effectively in the past as a committee.
Well, one of the things like we talked about earlier today, which we were on the phone just talking about our meeting today, and like for example, this trail rankings. If the group had decided this is the number of trails, Sean could say, hey, everybody, send me your rankings individually. I'll have them all ready together at the next meeting. Here's how it panned out. Here's our recommendation. the group, we have quorum, we recommended it, here's the collaboration, the result of that, done. And you just walk in for a minute and you've got it done.
Yeah.
But it's like that, everybody's sending their stuff to one person, that owner.
Und das
I
ist
think that works fantastic if everybody in the group is bought into and willing to commit to that approach.
So true.
How does this comply with the Colorado Open Meetings Law?
Because it's not people discussing or collaborating on a decision or recommendation.
Okay.
They're all a separate between two people and not between two or more
Because
people.
two are only.
Yeah.
And then
And-
the results of that data that you get would be public anyway. You would just be
Right.
consolidating it into a spreadsheet that everyone would still see.
Correct.
Which exactly
Correct.
is what
But-
Sean did with Orman Roche.
Yeah.
He had a master spreadsheet, we all
That's a good question.
sent the info there.
And the difference is too, everybody's not discussing it. Well, I'm ranking this
Totally.
because of this, and it may sway other members. So that way it's just sending information, combining it, and then making a recommendation at the open meeting.
Any other thoughts on that?
I'm very supportive of doing directed work remotely or offline, or however you want to say that.
Okay.
Do we want to see if everybody's bought into that, or just sort of let that lie? I think that's the other danger with a group like this, is we can have this discussion, and unless we actually do something or make some agreement on it, we'll have it again in about 3 months, the same discussion. I imagine that's my concern.
Or once the work plan is approved by the board,
Uh-huh.
which will be happening next month, then at that next meeting, split all the work plan items amongst members and do it that way.
Well, that's not what I meant. Like, for example, we have the question of the rankings. We were going to be, before the next meeting, we need to provide our top 20, each of us, I heard, right?
You're going to
And so-
decide which ones we rank. You're
Right.
not
So
ranking
we
them
can
yet.
Message received, so we can do that in the next meeting and take an hour in person to do it. Or we can do it offline ahead of the next meeting and take maybe 10 minutes in the next meeting to do it. And so that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is there a willingness, or which way does the group want to go?
I think that's what we are doing. I think we're all sending it to, Kate's sending it out.
Yeah.
So we are,
We're all
okay,
gonna
never
send
mind,
it back
we are in
to
the
Kate.
agreement here.
And then
Never mind,
we-
I'll back off. I was raising this mainly because she said that there have been issues with this in the past.
Right.
And if there were issues with it in the past, I was wondering if, does that mean some people weren't bought in? Should we
No.
sort of reassess that?
No, I think
was
the
not
issue was
us.
more of,
Okay, apologies, I
It was
misread.
more like a Google Doc where everybody was collaborating on something,
yeah,
and it was
more
like,
of like,
oh,
it became a
wait.
discussion.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
this, we've been pretty deliberate, like with the pre-work. It's not, we're not discussing it. These are just the things that I need everybody to look at ahead of time. And then we discuss it the night of so that it's fresh in everybody's mind.
I
So,
misread what she was.
no, no, you're good. Okay,
I'm going track.
yes. Boulder County Trail app is now live. Bill,
Good.
Statement.
statement.
Done. Next.
No, Mayor Folsom also sent us
Yep.
that, I actually haven't even looked at it since then, but it sounds like there were a couple things that he was asking to get fixed, and it sounds like, Allison, you said that there are a few things that are getting tweaked on it, but
Our
Other than
GIS
that-
needs to be brought up to date. It's time.
okay. So GoCo Strategic Planning Meeting. So
What is GoCo?
Go Colorado.
Great outdoors.
Thank you. I knew there was more to it. I got an Evite from it because of being at the Colorado.
Did I send
Yeah,
that to
it was-
everybody?
You
Did
did.
everybody get that? Okay, great.
Yep.
So that is an option if people want to attend. It's a strategic plan listening tour, and they are having it in Westminster.
Is the closest.
Is the closest one to us, and that is on March 9th from 4:30 to 6 p.m. Terrible timing of the day for people with jobs.
City Park
People with
Recreation
jobs.
Center.
But if anybody has any interest in going, I don't know, Mondays are a hard afternoon, evening for me, so I'm not sure I will be, and I don't recall if Ryan was able to make it. But it could be a cool thing to kind of hear what their strategic plan, what they're working on and what their plans are.
Is it okay without any previous knowledge of that to go there?
I would
Make
think
it
so.
come for me.
I would think so.
I'd be happy to go.
Sure, that'd be great.
Before I say that, I want to be sure I can.
So it looks like it's not just an on-site, they also have a webinar that anyone can
Oh.
listen to, according to the email that Allison sent
Okay.
out. And they have a full schedule in that same email, so if people are not able to go during that day or time, there is a webinar. I'm guessing it'll also be recorded so that we can go back and review it at our own
Okay.
time. But I think if we want to provide input, maybe
Yeah.
questions, we have to be on site.
It was Monday the 9th,
Yeah.
4:30.
Yeah.
Most likely I can.
Okay, okay. I can shoot you an email with all the details because I have it.
I may be traveling but coming back on that day, so that's.
I can forward this email.
Cool, thank you. Next piece is just our work plan approval. It didn't happen because we got taken off the agenda and bumped to February 24th. I know Ryan, I'm pretty sure Ryan sent you an email asking if there's anything else specifically that you guys needed from us. I can't remember now.
No, all we do is ask that you come in and present the high points.
Okay.
If there's anything that's a significant change or something that you feel like is different or controversial, we got various things, but
Okay.
it's so we can review it, look at it, see if there's anything we want to yank off of it. So far, nobody's has been changed, so I can't imagine your alls will be either.
Okay, so that would be on the 24th now. There is not an agenda available for that date yet, and based on yesterday's agenda or work plan approvals, those were at the end of the night. Is that correct, Sandy?
No, actually, we moved them up.
You did move them up.
We moved them up.
Thank you for doing that. I
So-
don't know if you'll do that for us.
So the committees could get out and go home. Because we didn't think you wanted to listen to us.
Anyone is available on the 24th. I don't know if Ryan is, Mondays are challenging for me. It's not impossible, but if it's easy for you, I'd say take it. Any thoughts? I know you had kind of been like, yeah, I'll totally do it, but
You don't want me speaking in front of you. Yeah?
not yet.
Not yet. Maybe in
Or ever.
2021.
No.
I could be a backup.
You can be a
if Ryan
backup?
can't do
Yeah,
it.
I think I can make that. I had work travel that week, but it's been canceled, so
Okay. Maybe Joel,
I should be in town and
maybe Tracy. Okay, I'll double check with Ryan too, and I may be able to make something work too, so.
Mondays are pretty good for me usually.
Okay. Great. And last bit, standing updates, Orman Roche. I mean, we kind of got it. We're in the hanging pattern. I did mean to send everybody a really great selfie I took of my family and I on one of the really nice warm days. I'll try and remember to send it because it was shining bright. It was a beautiful, perfect day to be there. So we were pretty psyched to be up there.
Yeah, I see
And
more.
there was like 14 other cars up
Yeah,
there.
as I say, I
that
see
day.
more and more cars
So
there every
awesome.
time I go by there. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it was pretty remarkable.
becoming more used.
And we're about to install, just a quick FYI.
I don't know.
We're about to install signage on the fence at the other site that's northwest of there, where people had been parking and accessing that trail system.
Yep.
We're gonna put a sign that has a map and says, hey, I don't know if you know, there's a new trailhead up here. You are here, it is there. Amazing views, parking, convenient parking. So there's, some fun points on it, and it's going to be put down at that area.
Third and Depot?
Mhm.
Okay. Are there no parking signs there now?
Yeah.
There.
They've been there.
You can still park there, but it's backed up from like where the turn
The
is.
turns,
Like,
both
there's
turns,
probably
too.
2 or 3
Yeah.
cars spaced before you get to where the no parking signs are.
That was for the turning radius, it was
Yeah.
for the fire trucks.
Okay.
The other day I was driving somewhere to work or something, and I was driving down McCaslin past Orman Roche, and there was a giant raptor in that tree, in that like dead tree that
Yeah.
that was right there, and it was right after it had snowed, so everything was beautiful. It was like, why do I have to be driving and I can't get a photo of this right now? And it was, the roads were a little iffy, so I wasn't able to quickly take a photo, but it was pretty remarkable. Rocky Mountain Greenway.
Oh, can I go
Oh,
back
sorry.
to Ormond Roche?
Yeah.
Because we had discussed, sorry, Ryan was going to reach out to someone. Solicit marketing ideas. No, that's not it. Oh, shoot. He was gonna reach out to, Daryl, I think.
About the
Caps. And possibly ProStack, I thought. I have a note of amenities desired prioritized for that. So did he do either of those? Did he do it at the leadership meeting with ProStack, and did he reach out to Caps?
We left it with the leadership meeting with Prost that we would like to be a part of talking about the amenities whenever that part comes up in the Prost master plan.
Okay.
That we would like to be contributors. And the Daryl question, if you give me a second, I gotta check my email. I feel like it was a really long time ago, but that doesn't mean anything.
And we can also follow up with that when he's here next
It
month.
could have been.
That's fine.
I don't have anything from January from her, but I do know that he was planning to. I just don't know if he has. I know that they were definitely excited to be able to help provide some of their ideas.
And when you said you talked to ProStack about we'd like to be contributors, in what context? What does that mean?
That was contributors, like regarding just specifically the Ormond Roche amenities that we would like. That there's been a lot of back work done on that already, and so we'd like to be a part of the discussion.
Okay. Okay, and we already talked about historical commission. Okay, cool. Oh, no, we already also talked about low signs going up, alerting people to that entrance. That was the last thing. Remember, like the little open house signs? We were gonna talk about it. I thought you were gonna check it out. Did I dream that?
Well, no, you didn't dream it. We could put those up, but one of the problems was potentially wind, and then that's why we kind of came up with, especially targeting the people that are using that trail area already and putting that sign down at the bottom to get people up to the, because they're already the trail users for that trail system that are parking. And that's like the best place to catch them. It's like maybe they park there this time, but they see the sign for the new trailhead and they say, oh, I didn't know that was there. And then they park up there. So it was basically, thinking about the target audience, who we wanted to capture to have parking up there, who's utilizing it already and parking in that area, and then avoiding the wind problem.
Did you want to share the list of marketing ideas that we had discussed
Oh, yeah,
way back
thanks.
when?
I don't, because I don't have it, but if you
Okay,
got
I
it,
do.
fire
So Tracy and I came up with a list of marketing ideas specifically for Ormond Roche, but I guess it could pertain to item number 5C as well. So for Trailhead, we had discussed, well, if we go outside the box, right, if we're talking about more of a regional expanse, or, we got a new hotel in town, putting something up there, advertising it there. We got Whole Foods in town, we can put something up on their board. I think we had talked about TripAdvisor as well, something with TripAdvisor.
You just make it on TripAdvisor if there isn't already one. It's like.
Right, and similar to what you're talking about, maybe putting something up over at Colton Trailhead on the board over there, saying, hey, we got another trailhead up the road if this is too many cars. Local bike shops, REI, Neptune Mountaineering, and then, I don't know, we could do some face-to-faces too. But that, again, this was kind of specific to Ormond Roche. And then another thing we had talked about that was from our prior meeting was, I had brought up was, do we want to do something with 3D modeling, taking some budget, coming up with someone to do a 3D model of that whole trailhead property expanse, and then so that we could rotate it and put different things in different places, using some company. I don't know where can't do it. I've never done anything like that before. I reached out to someone else where you could probably import something from Google Earth into some CAD modeling. It costs money. It all comes down to money. So I guess that would be when we review the budget, I'm assuming at our next meeting, because that's part of our work plan for Q1, that we might want to discuss what do we want to do going forward with trying to figure out next steps, right? And I think 3D modeling would be a nice way to show for the board or whoever else, this is the property, here's our trailhead as it is now, here's what it could potentially look like, or you can go in and move things around to where you think it could be, and that could be like a community event kind of thing if we wanted to do that. For community engagement. Anything else?
I thought that was the only two things we talked about at that meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, yeah, right. So that was all I wanted to add for Orman Roche.
I would say the posters and stuff, I like it. I think we just have to wait until it's open. Like until I would feel like, for me personally, I would like it to be open formally for the town of Superior and then start
Marketing
it out further. That's me personally though.
Yeah.
Is everyone else on board with that? So we know how to move forward?
Sure.
Silence means yes.
Okay.
Okay. Rocky Mountain Greenway, Rocky Flats.
Nothing really new. The only thing I was going to point out is that I think it happened in November, December, but trustees Ken Lish and Mark Lasis are the two people that are appointed onto the council now. There's been very little activity, like even with meeting notes and things. I looked on their website today. The last meeting notes that were posted were from September. The last Rocky Mountain Greenway proposed map is from 2017. I think things are just really at a standstill as this testing from the soil samples comes back, and just not much happening right now.
So, side note, I know we had a Q1 work plan item which has not been approved yet, but of reaching out to Jeffco, Broomfield, Open Space, I guess. Since that was a Q1 item, we haven't been approved yet, I guess.
We wouldn't.
Can we, I don't know if we
March.
can.
We would start the process in March.
Start the process.
Yeah. Raptor program.
Yeah, so thank you, Allison, for getting out an ad for volunteers. Thank you also for the updates on the various bird boxes and whatnot. I've gotten to meet Peter a couple times, talked to him at length one time, and then Monday night he gave a presentation actually on raptors locally at the firehouse. It was pretty well attended, I would guess. There were about 20 people there. There was a lot of interest, and we went long, and they said, keep going. Nobody left. It was really cool. So I think there's still a lot of interest, and hopefully we'll get a good group of volunteers and continue to do his observation program. I don't know how deep to go in this update. There's some debates about the boxes, locations, and that sort of thing.
Specifically for the webcam boxes.
Yeah.
We've been struggling. We're on our third location right now, and the main issue is Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Not power, just Wi-Fi.
Power can be put in just about anywhere. The Wi-Fi and the reach here in town and where we have access to it is difficult here.
And Peter's asked some questions about sort of where's the line with what he can or can't say and advocating for his observer program. I kind of told him to just lean forward and go get volunteers. It's all good. So anyway, if that's not okay or the right message, let me know. Or if there have ever been lines crossed that I didn't know about, let me know. But it sounds like he's just trying to get people to care about birds. There you go.
Cool. Oil and gas, Marcy's not here. And trust for public lands.
You did discuss Sandy Oil and Gas at your last meeting. Anything significant you think we should know?
The only thing I would say is if you're interested, the proposals of all the documents. It's about, I think, about 80 pages from Matt Sura. It is the proposed regulations, the best practices have been presented for the first review by the board. And we hope, well, we pretty much have to approve them very shortly because the moratorium is going to run out and we can't renew it. So,
There's an article about it in the Daily Camera yesterday or the day before.
yeah. So, let's not even talk about the Daily Camera. But, you know, it got a pretty good review on the, I think Matt's done a great job. You know, we always wish it could be more aggressive, but I think he's submitted something that will protect us. Pretty much, most of the, based on the way he wrote it, most of the town of Superior will not be eligible to put oil and gas in because of the restrictions we put on it. They would, or there are going to be significant efforts to have to change zoning. So, but you know, we think what he's got is pretty good. Mark was not at the meeting, and Mark's got the lawyer eye, so he's usually a little bit better. But Ken had done a real thorough review too, and he catches a lot of stuff that the rest of us will slide by. But they look good, so hopefully we'll be approving them, you know, by April timeframe. We should have them in place.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And trust for public land?
Can we change that to conservation fund in here?
Yeah.
Allison, can I just go up and say and then change that? Right, because it's not TPL.
Sure, except it would have been under the agenda approval, so I would just leave it as
So,
that.
yeah, just remember next time to change it.
We should also spell Orman correctly.
That's
Where is
ideal
it?
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so next time.
Oh,
I don't know anything.
I know, it's
but-
hard to remember.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm not, I mean, it's a collaboration, I should have looked at it.
Anything still, stand still, no good, no bad?
No, nothing
otherwise?
good, nothing bad.
Yeah, so we'll just put stand still.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Let's call it. Meeting adjourned.